Good morning. Today we're going to talk about how to use direct quotes and paraphrased material in your writing, how to balance those two elements, and how to include the proper embedded citations for each of those types of writing. To start, I just want to refresh everyone's memory. This is the last page of the APA guide provided in Blackboard. So you'll see here we have a standard citation, a standard direct quote, a standard direct quote from the internet, sources with no author, and sources with multiple authors, so on and so forth. So if what I'm talking about in this tutorial is a little bit unclear, you do have this resource available to you that you can check and take a look at to help clarify things. So we'll start today with a sample paper that has some various types of paraphrasing and direct quotes. And I'm just going to go through paragraph by paragraph and talk a little bit about how each one has been done and why. So the first paragraph here is just paraphrased material from the source. The writer of this essay has talked about the author's philosophy, but is not using the author's original language or using any direct quotes from the original article. So what you have here is a standard citation, last name, year of publication. In the next paragraph, we also have paraphrased material. All of this information here has been written by the writer of this essay. These words came from the writer, not from the original source or the original author. The writer read the material, thought about it, processed it a little bit, and then found a way to write the information and present it in his or her own words. So it's not a direct quote. It's paraphrased information, but because the writer has included the original author's name as part of the paragraph or the sentence that's being presented, the citation only needs to include the year. Normally this would be Carrie, 2014, but because Carrie is up here, you don't have to have it here. In the next paragraph, we have a direct quote where the writer has incorporated several consecutive words from the original source. And so the citation includes the author's name, the year of publication, and the page or paragraph number where the material came from. Since this was a written publication, we're using page number. In the next example, we also have a direct quote, but we have the author's name as part of the sentence, so it doesn't go in the citation. So these two citations are very similar, except that in this instance, the author's name is in the sentence, not in the citation. I also want to point out with both of these examples how the writer has incorporated the author's original language into the writer's sentence. So for example, this came from the writer, and then they incorporated this term from the original source. Carrie calls this our story maker in quotations, as its primary role is to gather data, seek patterns, insert judgments, and fit loose facts into a larger whole. So the writer of this essay really liked the way this was written and didn't want to try to change it or paraphrase it. So instead of just inserting a quote from beginning to end and then having to explain it, the writer used a sentence to sort of frame or explain this expression that they then borrowed from the author. In the next paragraph, what we have is paraphrased information from this source. Now I want to point out normally you can just put the citation sort of at the end of the paragraph. If all of this information is all coming from the same source, you don't have to have a citation after every single sentence in the paragraph. However, there is another citation in this paragraph, and that's because we're using a specific date. So if you use a date or a statistic or a percentage, make sure that you put a citation with that sentence to clearly show where you got that information from. And then the rest of the material can all sort of be cited at the end of the paragraph, as long as all of the information comes from the same source. If we scroll down a little bit and skip down here, you'll see in this paragraph the author has used information from 2 different sources. So you have to show that this information here all comes from this source, and this information here all comes from this source. It's important to show if you are switching sources within a paragraph. The last example that we have is another paragraph where the writer has incorporated the original language. And so what we have is a citation with the author's last name, the year, and the page or paragraph number. In this case, the material was online on a website. There was no printed document with page numbers. So in order to find the paragraph number, you literally just count down the paragraphs. You start at the beginning of the article and you just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever. And you include the paragraph number where this quote came from. So hopefully that will help you understand how to cite different kinds of research synthesis in your report. Remember to balance out paraphrasing and direct quotes. We are trying to assess how well you can write and how well you can synthesize research. So we generally want to see more of your own writing. So keep the direct quotes to a minimum and only use them when they will really illustrate something important or enhance a point that you're making, or when the original language is just too specific and you don't want to lose the impact of that. Some instructors will tell you a limit on the number of direct quotes you can use, like maybe 3 quotes in a whole paper. Other instructors are a little bit more flexible, but no matter what the actual requirements are, just keep in mind that you want to keep direct quotes to a minimum, and we really want to see your writing and how well you can understand and present the information that you've learned. Hopefully this will help you as you're writing various research papers and essays, and of course if you ever have any questions, you're welcome to ask. Thank you very much.